Hello and welcome to this tutorial video on Cubasis 2.1. If you are just interested in the new features in this version, feel free to skip ahead to about 3 minutes and 40 seconds. In case you want to follow along in Cubasis yourself, let me show you how I created this project. First, I imported a MIDI drum loop. It's called Pop Beat 1 Chorus. I simply imported it into the project and copy and pasted it so it would fill 4 bars. The next thing I did was import a drum audio loop. So go to Audio and then look for 090 Tom Groove 07, this one. Again, I imported it into the project and used copy and paste. And I've used the time stretch options to stretch it to 2 bars each to actually match the tempo of my project. I decided I need some bass to go with those drums, so I created a MIDI track and loaded the micrologue using a preset called Square Attack Bass. And I've already recorded a few bass notes onto this track. That's not all yet. Let me go back to the studio kit. And let me show you the insert effects I've used on this track. Now, the original kit is fine, it's just not what I had in mind for this song. So I went ahead and placed an overdrive effect onto the track. The only problem then was that the overdrive kind of eats up bass frequencies, and also the high frequencies can get a little bit harsh. So what I did is used a studio EQ before the overdrive and turned down some of the annoying frequencies. And I also added another studio EQ after this overdrive effect, so I can balance out the frequencies even further. You can see that especially the high frequencies are turned down quite a bit, and at the same time the bass frequencies are boosted. Alright, now let's listen to the drum kit with the overdrive and the EQs. Okay, let's move on to the next track, which is the drums track, which has the audio loop on it. Because we already have a full drum set on the first track, I went ahead and inserted a shelf EQ to turn down bass and treble frequencies. Now on to the bass track. Because I'm using a synthesizer and these can create quite a lot of energy in the bass range, I decided to use the channel strip and first of all enabled the cut filter with the low cut around 36 Hz. Next up is the compressor with a ratio of 2:1 automatic release, and this smoothes out the individual bass notes a little bit, and a little saturation cannot hurt. Now let's have a look at the EQ. It's just a basic boost around 100 Hz to give the bass a little bit more, well, bass. Now let's listen to it. That's it on how I made this project. Welcome back if you skipped to this section. Now let's have a look at the new features in Cubasis 2.1. Let's double tap on the micrologue bass part to bring up the MIDI Editor. In case you didn't know, you can tap on the 3 lines next to where it says micrologue and actually change the size of the editor. For some extensive note editing, that's the way I prefer it. And also, Cubasis remembers the size of this editor, so if you close it and open it again, it will have the same size. Now we improved the MIDI editor to make editing notes in Cubasis even easier. The first thing you'll notice is that the note colors have changed. If you want to bring it back to the old way, you can go to Setup and MIDI, and under Note Coloring switch to, for example, Velocity. So the note color will change depending on the velocity of the note. Or you can also change it to key, so each different key will have a different color. I'm gonna switch it back to track color because that's the way I like to use it. You can do a lot of note editing in the draw mode now, so let me switch to the draw mode. And to enter a note, simply tap where you want this note to be. You can also add several notes, just tap again. If you want to get rid of them, simply tap on the existing notes and see they simply disappear. If you want to create a longer note, simply tap and hold and drag to whichever length you would like for this note. Then let go and the note is drawn. To get rid of it, simply tap again. Note that the grid has an influence on the note length that you create when you use a single tap. So now if I tap, I'll be creating half notes. And again, tap to delete. Let me create another one. There we go. And it's gone again. I think you get the idea. If you tap and hold the vertical move button, you can move the note up and down to change its pitch. And if you tap and hold the horizontal move button, you can move it around on the timeline. To change the velocity of the note, simply tap and hold the velocity button and then tap on the note and move your finger up and down to change the velocity value. Just like that. We've also taken in your feedback and improved zooming even further. So no matter if you want to zoom in vertically or horizontally, it should work even better now. So you always see what you actually want to edit. Let's briefly switch over to the select mode. What I can do here is, first of all, if I tap on individual notes, I can select just these notes. I can also tap anywhere in a blank space and deselect everything. If I double tap anywhere in a blank space, I will select all the notes. And if you tap and hold, you can see there's a blue rectangle on the screen now. You can actually draw a rectangle around notes and select these. Now let's close the MIDI editor and select another track I've created. I'm using the EP Whirly sound. I think you can guess what kind of instrument this is. And I want to show you a new feature that we have in Cubasis now, which is support for Audiobus 3. I can bring up the panel at the bottom of the iPad screen, and I will switch to Audiobus, and you can see that now I have a MIDI tab in Audiobus, which means I can record the MIDI output of another app directly onto a track in Cubasis. I'm using an app called Sound Prism Link Edition. I'm using it in chord mode, you will see that later. Let me just switch back to Cubasis, and if you go to routing, then you can see where it says no MIDI input. I can now select Sound Prism as the MIDI input, and I can actually play this instrument I've loaded in Cubasis via Sound Prism. Now it's sending MIDI data to Cubasis. Now you can have quite a lot of fun with this, but let me actually use a recording I've done using Sound Prism earlier. One thing I haven't mentioned yet are the insert effects I am using on this track. The first one is, of course, a rotary speaker. The second one I'm using is, again, the Studio EQ. And as you can see, I've turned down the bass and the treble and also kind of made room in the middle for the other instruments. Now, I don't know about you, but to my ears, this track sounds pretty dry. And the reason is that I haven't used any reverb yet. The good news is that we have built in a new reverb into Cubasis, and it's called RoomWorks SE. It's actually taken from the desktop version of Cubase. All you have to do is register Cubasis in your Steinberg account, then it will be unlocked, as you can see here, and then you can actually twist and tweak all the parameters. Let's listen to it. Without the reverb, and with the reverb again. I went ahead and placed the RoomWorks SE also on the bass track, just to give it a little bit of room. And I also put it onto the electric piano track, which sounds so much nicer with the RoomWorks on there. Let's listen to all the tracks, including reverb. We have even more improvements and fixes in Cubasis 2.1. For example, a better timing when you freeze a track, and also if you're using inter-app audio, we have improved sync, for example, when you're using drum loops. That's it for this video. Enjoy using Cubasis. Don't forget to register to get your free RoomWorks SE Reverb. And above all, have fun making music. Until next time, bye.